All right, folks, so welcome to the next video. We're going to do some editing of records. We're going to add some records. We're going to delete a record. Basic stuff. Not going to try to do too much too soon. Once again, if you've logged in, your contacts pane is typically the default. That'll open up. That'll show you all your contacts. I'm going to move over. I'm going to ask you to click on Details. Take a look at your Details pane. And you'll see here that I've created a sample record. Not, too terribly exciting or anything, but we're going to go ahead and modify this in some way. I'm going to go ahead and maybe change the name of it for starters. So we've got the sample record is highlighted. Down here you're going to see within this pane, this is where all the business is going to happen right now. It's right in this green pane, and it's related to the green tab. The two panes that are off on the right, groups and contacts, this is associations, and we're going to deal with that in the third and final video. But right now, if I remove this, you'll see that the areas, if I just kind of clear the text out of here, you'll see that within the field, there's some indication as to what you're supposed to do with it. Name this note, enter search keywords, enter up to 21,844 characters in this text field. You'll see here that there's some sort of a date framework that's available. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but we'll explain right now. So I've just kind of cleared this existing record. Up here you can still see that it's called a sample record because we haven't clicked update yet. There haven't been any changes. I've removed the information here, but here's just kind of a good thing to check out. What happens if I click on a different record and I come back? Click on Wikipedia biography. I'm going to click back to sample record. Ooh, and everything magically appears again, right? I didn't erase it, didn't go away, it's still in the database. And that's because I never clicked update, okay? I didn't make any changes. I didn't delete anything. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete some information out of that text field, okay? We had a little bit of text. I'm going to click update, and now that's gone. If I click to Wikipedia biography and I come back, that is gone. It's gone forever, okay? Whatever I had in that field, it's evaporated. So this is a real important step here. Instead of sample record, let's call this my first test record. And under keywords, if I wanted to search for this again, I'm just going to say this is a test because it is a test. Interestingly, I'm going to say, I don't know, this is something in the future that's going to happen. I'm going to maybe, I don't know, meet with a friend for, let's see if I can spell friend correctly. Friend for coffee. That's, I don't know who that friend is. Generic friend. Let's call, how about Beaver Cleaver? I like Beaver. Beaver Cleaver. Okay, I'm going to meet with Beaver Cleaver for coffee. And today, I'm going to, I don't know, today's February 12th. I'm going to say this is going to happen on March 1st, 2016. And we're going to meet at noon. Okay, and that's just what this record is. It's a test record. I'm going to meet with a friend for coffee, Beaver Cleaver, and it's just a test record. I'm going to click update. And you'll notice here that the date has now changed. Okay, and the modification date is a little bit different. The creation date is a little bit different. I modified it today. I created this record a long time ago. It was in July. But there's a time and a date associated with this particular thing. So now this becomes an event, okay? And one of the cool things about this is, and you'll see this when you have more records here, is these events will also be the organic and natural default sort order whenever you click details. So events in the future are going to show up at the top. So the events furthest in the future are going to be the first you see, and that kind of automatically gives you a heads up. Every time you log into your system, you're going to see the stuff that's most relevant because you've given it a date of some sort. You don't have to necessarily give anything to a date. If I create a new record here, which I will, create a new detail, I'm going to call this test 2. Test. How about my second test record? And I'm also going to give this a keyword of test. And here, this one is defaulting that date is going to be the date that I created it. It's today. This is now. It's 3:20 a.m. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is, you know, another test record. No big whoop. I'm going to click update. You'll see here at the top, there's no name for this yet. The record's been created. There's record ID, creation ID date. Now watch what happens. Update, and then the subject comes into play and the keywords come into play up here. And you'll notice I'm not showing any other records right now because I just created a new record. Let's see what happens when we click details. So remember from your navigation strategy, we had just 2 records here before. Now we're showing all the records that are under details. And I've got my second test record is showing up here. Now here's something kind of interesting. Let's decide that, hey, you know, I'm going to review this test record, review record for whatever reason in the future at some point in time. There's going to be a review. And when's that future time going to be? I'm going to call this maybe March 2nd, 2016. And we're going to do that at, oh, let's see, you know, 12, I don't know, 1 p.m., 1:20 p.m., 1 p.m. There we go. Something along those lines. And when I click update here, you're going to see that that test record is now hopped on top of the first test record we made. So the creation date is a little bit newer, the modification date is newer, but what's really driving this is this window right here. This is our event date. So that event date is a little bit ahead of the other test record, which is actually for March 1st. And it looks like I put 12 a.m. I'm going to change that. It's actually 12 p.m. is what I meant to say there for that, for beating Beaver Cleaver for coffee. But there's something that's happening a little bit further on up. So see how that happens? That's kind of cool, isn't it? Okay, so let's create another, you know, more serious record. I created some records here for talk show hosts, and I've got some presidents. Now I'm thinking about maybe presidential candidates. So I'm going to go ahead and create one right now for, I think Donald Trump has been in the news a lot. Let's go to Donald Trump. Okay, and I believe I've got maybe a little bit of information here. I've got an address for Donald Trump, 725 5th Avenue, Manhattan, and state of New York, and I don't know what the zip code is there, but you kind of get the idea. I also looked up online and was able to quickly find that Donald Trump has some websites. He has a website, he's got a Twitter account, and a YouTube channel. Okay. So that's pretty cool. You see we've got this new record. Donald Trump is now in there. Oh, I also have his birth date. I found his birth date online. Okay, so Donald Trump was born on June 14th. Another interesting thing I found, his middle name is John. So there we are. And his title, you know, who knows? I know there's his company name is probably Trump something or other. But anyway, so we've got some basic information here about Donald Trump. I'm going to click Update, Contact, and voila, there he is, Donald Trump. Again, let's go through the routine, navigation. He's there at the top of the list, and the reason he's at the top of the list is because he was the most recently created contact, and that just seemed to be the most logical way to sort this. But if I wanted to just find him again, I could search for Trump generically, and that would just be that individual record. Now, there's no picture for Donald Trump. I wonder if we can get one of those. Well, if I click this little box here for check to upload a new image, and then I hit browse, it does look like I have a picture of Donald Trump that I found out there on the interwebs. The default way of naming this image is to give it a date stamp. You don't have to change this, but it is kind of handy in the drop-down menu in the future if you want to look and change to Donald Trump, you can. So I'm going to say, you know, Donald Trump. You know, it's just a picture of Donald Trump, and I'm going to go 01. You don't have to use the underscores. It's not imperative or anything. Click Update Record, and voila. Donald Trump has been uploaded into your database. Okay, and we can give him a caption here. How about the Donald? I think he goes by the Donald. I don't know if that's an insult or not, but you know, hey, so be it. So we've given it a caption here. And what you'll see here is that that name that we used to name that picture is what pops up here in the drop down. If I wanted to, I could, you know, put him in the White House right now by doing that, right? Or I can flip back and I can put Donald Trump back into that category. So that's how you update, that's how you create a brand new record. Now, let's look at details again. I'm going to go to my first record, and I'm going to show you the last feature here. This is how to delete a record. So, you know, this isn't a super important record, and I want to go ahead and see what happens if I hit delete. Wow, that is unattractive. That is a bright, screaming, you know, in this case it's a yellow pane here. Something must be wrong, right? Because that is just hard to look at. And the reason why I painted this pane yellow is I want to really make sure that when you're going about deleting a record, which is rarely really truly necessary with Private Notebook, but if you do want to delete a record for one reason or another, you can click on that delete field, but this is going to bring you to a pane that says, hey, do you really want to do this? And this bright yellow thing is probably going to indicate to you, it's like, whoa, this isn't something I do real often. This is not something to take lightly. I can do one of two things. I can cancel out of that and save the record, and I'm back into the regular screen. Or, you know, I can go back. I can, you know, go back to the deletion pane again, and I can say confirm deletion. Now remember the name of this record, my first test record. Confirm deletion. What happens is we go back to details and we view all the records again, but now my first record is not there anymore. Now we just have two records. So that one was just gone, just got blown out of the system, and it is never coming back. So that's it. Move on to video number 3, and you're going to get really into the heavy of this, which is how you associate records, how you use these panes here for groups, contacts, and how you draw associations between all these records and start to organize your database.